What is up, my brothers and sisters? Welcome to another video. We're going to talk movies again today. We're going to talk post-apocalyptic movies. At least my favorite post-apocalyptic movies. Movies I recommend you check out. And movies with a message, because that's the thing about post-apocalyptic movies is that a lot of them have a nice little message. You know, yeah, like Wall-E, for example. That's post-apocalyptic, right? Or I mean, maybe you could call it something else, but those kind of movies where um, it's the future, but it's not a good future. Because for a long time, humans we believed that by 2025 we were gonna have flying cars and flying skateboards and all kinds of cool shit. Teleportation devices and shit like that, right? But fast forward 2025, and I mean we got drones and personal helicopters, which is kind of like flying cars, and people are kind of the the army is kind of trying to police that now. They're trying to get more funding in order for them to police the skies now. Also, the fact that there's a bunch of UFOs in the sky. But anyways, my point is, um, somewhere around the 80s, somewhere around um, where the Cold War started, people started thinking maybe, maybe our future doesn't look so bright. Maybe it looks kind of like shit, bro. We're probably all gonna die, and the few people that survive is going to be, you know, a bunch of like cavemen and shit. Fighting to survive, fighting for water, or whatever. The first one that did it, right, was from my knowledge or from my point of view, of course. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But the first one that did it was Mad Max, an Australian film about a policeman in a post-apocalyptic universe, a universe where um, all the nations of the world, or the two superpowers of the world, which at the time was Russia and the United States, um, threw nuclear bombs at each other, and everything was destroyed. And this was a fear that people had for a long time in those days, and it affected pop culture and it affected, music. I don't know if you guys know the song Forever Young. Do you really want to live forever? Forever, whenever, forever young. I want to be forever young. Anyways, that song um it was about that. It was about fearing the possibilities of um, getting nuked, right, and getting destroyed, and and yeah. So and then from there it took off, and then more people did their own versions of post-apocalyptic movies. So my number one, guys, is Zombieland. Zombieland takes place in, like I said, a post-apocalyptic universe where zombies take over the world, and they're pretty much out there just killing people. And there's not that many people left, and people get lonely. And when they find somebody, they make a big deal about it, and they start like talking to each other and shit. So that's Zombieland. It's very simple premise, and it's funny. It's one of these comedic, and it's a lot more recent movie than some of the other ones that I'm going to mention here today. But yeah, my number four, I mean my number five is Zombieland, and Woody Harrelson is probably the best one on here. I do like Jesse Eisenberg as well. I mean, he's always like, excuse me, it's kind of like the comedic relief or like the comedic psychic. Then you got Emma Stone with her fine ass in this movie. She looks particularly nice looking. And then you got the little girl, Abigail Breslin, um, which I think she gets into trouble in this one or in the second one. The second one was all right. Part two, Zombieland Part Two is okay. I think the first one was definitely better for me personally. My favorite, like I said, Woody Harrelson is my favorite in the movie. Of course, playing the cowboy, Texas accent and everything. Pretty good. Moving on to my number three, I believe, right? Yeah. I mean number four. Sorry. Um, Waterworld. Waterworld is another post-apocalyptic movie, of course, that takes place in a world that is full of water. Because this is one of those things that people would fear back in those days, which was that the polar ice caps were melting, and that if they melt, that the whole catastrophe is going to happen around the world. Supposedly, what we used to think was that the world would get filled with water and it would be flooded or whatever. That's one of the beliefs. Of course, now we know that that's probably not true, and I think that was even like I think that was like a rumor that started from something that was actually said or something like that. But anyways, the point is they made a movie about it, and the polar ice caps melt, and so the whole world is full of water, and there's no land. And now they find this little girl that knows where there's some land, and she has a tattoo in her back, I think, something like that. And then so they gotta protect the little girl, and not only that, they gotta try to decipher the tattoo in her back. That is a map to where land is at. Which, by the way, that's a tattoo right there. That doesn't look like there's no directions to that. Maybe like north, go north. I mean, that's what I would think that means. Um, but anyways, guys, you really should check this one out. There's a mutants. There's a there's a good there's a good boat. I always like me a good boat in a movie. Um, yeah, man, it's one of Kevin Costner's best movies. I guess I'm a Kevin Costner fan because I think this is like the third movie that I mentioned from him. So there you go. Elysium is my number three. Elysium is a movie also post-apocalyptic. Now this one is more of a futuristic. It's not post-apocalyptic, but in a way it is for certain people. And this is why I like this movie because so this is the thing, like the dream has always been for everybody to have enough and for everybody to have enough to survive and to make it to the next day, and then you could work on whatever your dream is, right? Like whatever your passion is, or whatever your job is at the time, right? But in this future, there's a big gap between the poor and the rich, and the rich, they're not even in Earth anymore. They're in this place called the Elysium, that's up in the sky and the moon or some shit like that. And which is funny to me because it reminds me of Elon Musk and the fact that he's pretty much cutting all these programs to make more money for himself so he could fund his space program and go to the moon, which is kind of what's happening right now. We're like, I feel like we're in the preparing stages for Elysium. That's what I think. And I mean, that's the way I see it. I mean, you guys probably see it different. You probably think that Elon's going to take you with him. It's just fine. You can think that if you want. Oh shit. Yeah, Matt Damon's pretty good on this. But anyways, these guys, the problem is that they don't have healthcare, kind of like us right now. And but over at Elysium, where the rich people live, up there in the moon or whatever, they have technology so crazy, so good that they could heal people and bring them back from the dead, bro. Like literally, if your brain is intact, they could bring you back. If pieces of your brain are still intact, they could bring you back and bring your brain back. So, and this guy Matt Damon, he's dying. He has he got radioactive poisoning because he was working on this plant. This not a plant, like a not like a typical plant, like a nuclear plant. That's what I'm talking about. And he got exposed to some electroshocks or whatever, some electro waves, and he started to die. He's starting to die, and he tells people, "Yo, you got to get me up there. You gotta help me, get to Elysium." And who else can help but a Mexican? A Mexican helps him break in. This is perfect. This is a perfect movie to me. A Mexican helps Matt Damon break into Elysium. I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, like it's like, yeah, that's probably what would happen. And it's funny because they made the whole Fayuquero thing happen in a post-apocalyptic world. They kind of so basically what I'm trying to say is like in Mexico, they used to be, at least I don't know if they still are. They used to be big on reproducing um, brand name things, even some technologies as well, and reproducing it clandestinely or illegally, right? Illegally, they would reproduce it illegally and they would sell it to the people. And there's these places called pulgas or something like that. And you'd go to those places and you could find you some crazy people in there that could fix you up a PlayStation that could do crazy shit. Now, I don't know if they're still that good, but they used to be really good back in the day. And that's what this reminded me of. It reminded me of when you go to a pulga and you're like, yo, you got somebody that could soup up my computer to do this crazy shit. And they're like, yeah, there's this dirty guy in the back. Like he hasn't taken a shower in days. And he's like, yeah, I'll help you. And that's what this reminded me of. It just reminded me of that. I don't know why. Yeah, we'll make the same shit, but we'll make it fake and we'll probably make it better because this thing will do some shit that shit can't do. And that's what they did to Matt Damon. They created this exoskeleton that helped him live a little longer, so he can get the care that he needs. I think that's what it was about. I really don't remember because I haven't seen it in a long time. But it's one of those movies that's really good. And I saw it. I mean, back in the day when this came out, I saw it like a couple of times. Dude. I saw it like 3 or 4 times. Um, anyways, on to my number 2. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Now, Mad Max, like I said, I feel like he was the first one to do the whole post-apocalyptic thing. Like I said, if I'm mistaken, it's probably because I'm not that old. And also, this movie I think is the best one from all of them. Even better than the remake, by the way. The remake with what's his name? I forgot his name. But anyways, this one, I think was the best out of the bunch. Um, it's a pretty good movie. I mean, it has action, it has storytelling, it has by the way, that girl in the background here, that lady, that's the girl who sings what's love got to do with it, got to do with it, what's love with a second hand emotion. That's her. Yeah, I forgot her name. Her name is Aretha Franklin, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot her name, but she's very popular. She's one of those women with those voices. What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. What's love? A second hand emotion. Something like that. Anyways, this movie it's just like classic Mad Max, but it just does it better. Um, like I said before, a Mad Max movie isn't a Mad Max movie unless Mad Max is helping a bunch of people and then gets left behind by those people in the end. And that always happens in all of his movies. including the remake, which was pretty good. It wasn't the best one, like I said. This is the best Mad Max movie in my personal opinion. It doesn't get any better than Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. A lot of good shit in this movie. Anyways, moving on to some honorable mentions. Reign of Fire. Um, Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. Um, of course, I think the main protagonist is Christian Bale in this one. And, excuse me. And they're trying to basically kill these dragons because dragons killed the world somehow. Um, and they can't, they can't have peace without them having, with these dragons. These dragons are just burning everybody and killing everybody. And that's basically what it is. It's just, post-apocalyptic, everything got to shit, and now we got to deal with these dragons. Yeah, I don't know. It's, I'll be honest, I haven't seen this one in a long time. I got to rewatch it again. A lot of these I haven't seen in a long time, but that's an honorable mention. Another honorable mention is I Am Legend. There's a scene with the dog that's kind of sad, but he had to. This is a sad movie, by the way. This is not like one of those movies where like, oh, like Zombieland, where it's like, yeah, we're happy, clap your hands and shit. No, this is basically telling you how lonely it would be if you didn't find a Woody Harrelson and an Emma Stone to make you feel better. The Postman, another Kevin Costner movie. And this one, listen, this one is kind of weird because I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's kind of like the world is not the same anymore. We're in a post-apocalyptic world, and the U.S. government, they don't do shit no more because it's been dismantled or whatever, and everybody's just out for themselves. Every country has their own shit going on, and this guy, he's just walking around doing his thing, and he finds a postman, no, a U.S. Postal Service truck, or something like that, and he grabs a bunch of mail and a little packet, a little side packs that they used to have, or they still do, and he just takes it with him and pretends that the U.S. Postal Service is still working or had just started working again, and it gives people hope. They're like, oh, the U.S. government is still working or whatever. Like I thought that we were done for. I thought that the U.S. government didn't even work anymore. He's like, no, we're still doing it. He's lying to people, but he's lying because he wants to get food or something, or he wants to be part of the community or something like that. But then little by little, they start discovering that he's full of shit, and that's pretty much the whole movie. I have to watch it again, but that's honorable mention. Another one is the Hunger Games. Pretty much shows you when the rich get bored, they just make us fight for food. Which, listen, bro, like, we're kind of doing that right now. We're kind of doing that right now. Not exactly like that. We're not killing each other, but they do want us to kill each other. Trust me. If they could, that's why they want us to hate black people. That's why they want us to hate white people. That's why they want us to hate Mexicans and immigrants and all of those people. So we could, Hunger Game each other, bro. We just take each other out. But listen, it is what it is. Matrix, another post-apocalyptic thing, but this time it's like if robots would take over. Because the Terminator, it wasn't a post-apocalyptic in my personal opinion because we haven't gotten there yet in from that perspective. But the Matrix kind of shows you what would happen if the robots did take over, and it also shows you what if this is just a simulation So it goes deeper. This is one of these movies that has a lot of deep meaning into it, and it starts. The first one is the one that, in my opinion, kind of changed um, the movie industry, because of the way it did the action scenes. But in my opinion, I think, the Matrix kind of copied Blade. I think Blade was the first ones to do most of the shit that the Matrix did. Um, the Matrix just did it better, but I think Blade was the first one. In my personal opinion, like, if we're gonna be honest, Matrix copied Blade, like, straight up. Like, the trench coat, the glasses, the whole vibe of Blade, they kind of took it, right? And then you add that to the fact the action scenes, the slow motion movements and shit that Blade did. You start to realize, like, yeah, like Blade was the first ones to change the game, but people give credit to Matrix more. Um, but I mean, it is what it is. Like I always say. And in my number one, the Book of Eli. The Book of Eli is a very good movie, guys. I recommend you check it out. Gary Oldman and damn, what's the name of that girl? She's fine as hell. Um, Mila Kunis. Mila Kunis, right? Is that her name? Mila Kunis. Mila Kunis sounds like a sin, by the way, and that's all I think about when I see her. Nah, I'm kidding, guys. I am respectful of the young lady. She's a very good actor, and in this movie, she was very good. For some reason, she looked particularly fine in this movie. Denzel Washington plays a kind of like almost like a prophet type character, or almost like a biblical character if you think about it. He just roams around, doing God's work. And there's these. I don't know if you guys read the Bible, but there's this guy Elijah, who he's not with the government, the Israeli government, or at the time the Hebrew government, right? Um, and he's just roaming around. They're trying to catch him because he's actually with God, and they aren't. And he's kind of telling them, you guys are in the wrong path, and there's judgment coming to this country. And Ellie in this movie kind of reminds me of that in a way, but almost different, because it kind of like Ellie's mission. He doesn't know what his mission is. They just told him to walk, and they told him to take care of this book that he has. And there's a surprise in the end, and some people don't understand it. I understand it because I understand faith, and I understand belief, and I understand being still and knowing and trusting in God and trusting in yourself, because you are God. You are part of God. There's really no separation between you and God. And the problem is getting to see that and getting to know that. And because the thing is, like, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it for you. I'm pretty sure you guys seen it. He's blind. Right? He's blind, but sometimes he could see. Sometimes he could see. Throughout the movie, you're gonna see that sometimes he's able to see, but sometimes he can't see. But then that's kind of confusing to people, because it's like, oh, so is he blind or is he not blind? The thing is, sometimes God allows him to see certain things, and sometimes God doesn't allow him to see certain things, and that's just the way it is. He says it in the movie. We walk by faith and not by what is it? Well, yeah, we walk by faith or something like that, because not by knowing. Do you know where you're going? He goes, I don't know where I'm going. So why are you walking? So I walk by faith, not by knowledge, or something like that. I forgot exactly what he says. But it's a movie about it's a movie about the importance of of literature, and in my opinion, but also the irrelevance of it. Because in my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, I believe that the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah, right? These are all books inspired by God, but they were not dictated by God. And that's where people get confused when people say the Bible is the only truth because it is inspired by God. But in the Bible it says all word is inspired by God. It doesn't say the Bible because they didn't have that word back then. It doesn't say the Torah. It doesn't say none of this. It just says all things are inspired by God. And this is true. This is true. All things are inspired by God. But God himself cannot be put into words. They cannot be put into literature. And at the end of the day, when you burn the book down, when the book is lost, who is going to speak for the word of God? Is a human being. And that's the message, in my opinion, in this movie. It's a very hidden message, but it's a message that says, yes, these books are important, but they're not the most important. The most important is that you live and walk with God, and it goes beyond these books. These books, they're just books. They're just letters. And you can't encapsulate God into those things. At the end of the day, you're the one that's going to say the words. And can you say them with power? Can you say them with true meaning? Because there's a difference between just saying things, and there's a difference between, actually feeling what you're saying, actually believing. And yeah, this is why I say, like I said, yes, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, but I do not believe that these books, even the Bible, encapsulate the true God. It's impossible to do. And I feel like this movie was about that. And anyways, that's my number one. And I hope you guys enjoyed that little thing that I said at the end there. I mean, I know it's probably too religious for you guys. And to be honest, I'm not really. I would like to believe that I respect everybody's religions. And like I said, me myself, I'm not like obsessed with words and obsessed with these things, because I feel like to communicate with God, it would have to go beyond the words that we have invented here in this material world. And this is why, the natives would make noises when they were communicating with God. You know, hi, stuff like that. And the Pentecostals, they go into these weird mouth things that they don't even mean anything. And you even got in some of the Buddhists, they make noises as well. And the reason for that is because they're trying to communicate beyond words, beyond letters, and beyond all of these things. Because these things, they're material things. They're things that we use here to explain certain things that we cannot explain, that go beyond our physical realm. And yeah, I mean, I started thinking about it, and I started thinking about the Book of Eli. It's one of these movies that I like because it has a message that goes beyond, the action and the plot and stuff like that. And I like it too because it has different meanings for different people, and I'm pretty sure when you watch this movie, you're probably going to have your own interpretation of it as well. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll